I got a suggestion that I should get an intro, so...
Alright, what's up, YouTube gamers? I'm back at it again. It's your main Birdman Feather Daddy here. Back at it with another bird video.
There. Thoughts? Okay, this is not why you're here. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so, sad news. Radiant Virtue Rakan is probably dead. That's pretty much putting it bluntly and cutting right to the point. They were in Freak's video. He showed the changes of, okay, cooldown's going to 90 seconds, and then they showed like the max health change, but the healing no longer ramps based on missing health, and the build haste was removed, and it was like, okay, you know what? This is still completely fine. In fact, you're actually tankier than you were previously, albeit you lose some ability haste, so you lose some utility, and that kind of sucks. It's still definitely worth it. But then the patch preview, the detailed ones, right here got posted, and as you can see, put in pink for the epic clickbait. You can see the cost has actually been increased to 3,200, and that was our fear. That was really going to be like the nail in the coffin for the item, because it's already really expensive. It's really hard to come by with a support budget, and now this is just it. That's the nail in the coffin. It's probably done for. 3,200 gold is just too expensive, especially when you have a 2,500 gold item in the form of Shirelia's that is better in most situations anyways, and Cindergrass is probably better at the kit overall, so pretty brutal. It was a good, like, several month run for Radiant Virtue Rakan. It was a lot of fun running it. It was really nice to have an item that really helped Rakan out in those bad matchups, because ultimately that was something that he really didn't have. He didn't really have a way to circumvent bad matchups, and Radiant Virtue really did that for him by making him actually tanky enough to get out of those situations in which he got his ability, engage canceled, or he just engaged and they did a lot of damage. It was a really good item. It was really awesome. I really enjoyed my time with it, and it made me really enjoy playing tank Rakan again. But unfortunately, yeah, this is just too expensive, unfortunately. So, it is, Godspeed, Radiant Virtue. Was a damn pleasure. Those of you wondering what the heck do we do now? Well, the next patch is going to have Recon Buffs. Interestingly enough, Riot is calling these buffs... Wait, here's my funky pen. Riot's calling these Rakan neutral changes. This isn't really the point of the video, but I thought that was really interesting that this is not intended to be a buff to Rakan. They are explicitly calling these neutral changes, as in it's just giving Rakan an alternative playstyle that is about equal in power to his engage one. This is not about buffing the champion. This is just about giving him different options, which actually, this is a pretty timely time for this to arrive for Rakan, seeing as now he's losing his main method of dealing with bad matchups, which is Radiant Virtue, seeing as Locket and Evan Shroud just aren't tanky enough to help you circumvent those bad matchups the same way that Radiant Virtue did with its extra health in the stats from the Mythic passive and when you pop the ult. So it was just, yeah. But now it looks like instead of running Radiant Virtue in bad matchups, very likely you will just be maxing your Q instead, so you can deal damage from afar, because usually Rakan's bad matchups just mean that you can't really find consistent engages. Because they usually stop them. If it's like Cinder or Poppy, they'll stop your engage flat out. So now for Khan's Q healing is being bumped by a pretty hefty amount, and the Q base damage is being, or the Q base damage scaling is being buffed by a pretty hefty amount. Obviously, now you have a reason to max it, especially in bad matchups where you just can't find consistent engages onto mobile targets or targets with CC that can stop your engage. So it looks like as one door opens, as one door closes, another opens. So as Radiant Virtue gets buried, Godspeed, we get another option to be able to deal with some bad matchups. Hard to say if it's going to be as good as Radiant Virtue. I don't really think so, because it was a way to deal with bad matchups while still playing around Rakan's engage playstyle. Obviously, you cannot really have as strong of an engage for Rakan if you're maxing your Q. So we're going to see if the Rakan Q changes really do help out Rakan in those bad matchups. That's kind of what we're hoping for. I'll get back to you guys on that once I do some testing with the changes, once they come to live. So, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, this is just a small burial for Radiant Virtue. It was a lot of fun running the item, and it's like, anyway, someone's probably gonna say like, oh, well, you can still run the item, right? It's just more expensive because obviously it makes you even tankier than previously. Even though you lose some ability haste, it still makes you super tanky. It can still help with bad matchups. While that's true, the problem is that really, if you're gonna get 3,200 gold, one, you're gonna probably be fully through your 1,000 gold quest. So you really have no income after that, and that's pretty rough. Or you may not even have income before you actually achieve purchasing the item. And also, if you get really far ahead, like you get a bunch of kills and assists, so then you actually have the gold to be able to get the item, the issue becomes, okay, well, if I'm really far ahead, why am I not just going for Shirelia's and trying to snowball my lead, as opposed to investing all this lead, all this money from being in the lead into a tank item that does not really help? Because Radiant Virtue was always the worst option, or a worse option than Shurelia's when talking about snowballing and when you're ahead, because tank stats do nothing if you're far ahead, and Shurelia's helped you snowball a lot harder anyways. So now the fact that you're really only going to be able to afford this consistently when you are really far ahead is pretty brutal, because that's Shurelia's territory. And obviously, Rakan's AP ratios on his Q and W are getting buffed, so another reason to kind of go for Shurelia's, which gives you more ability power to utilize those buffs. So anyways, that is... you know, oh wait, that's the wedding song. Anyway, rest in peace, Radiant Virtue. It was a damn pleasure, and we'll see you guys in the next patch. But hopefully, I don't know how these changes are gonna go. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get a decisive opinion on it. But yeah, hopefully the Q max in the next patch will replace Radiant Virtue, and hopefully Rakan can still deal with bad matchups in that way. We'll see. They could even make a healing playstyle with hyper carries more viable, seeing as your healing is now stronger, and you obviously have really high AP ratios on your E shield, and even on the Q heal it's decent, 55%. So we'll see. Could be some big shifts next patch with Rakan. Keep an eye out.
And with that, your man Feather Daddy, your big boy Feather Daddy, is out of here. Woo-hoo, he's out of here.
That's gonna be my outro. What am I doing?